What's up? Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Koss, and you are in the right spot. This is where we discuss real life, real problems with real people. You're going to get unstuck. Now, while you're at it, make sure you subscribe and share this with a loved one. Let's get ready to get unstuck. You ever feel that you want to do something, but you also have some relationship with failing at it? You've tried something, you thought it was going to work, and it just didn't work out. If that's you, I want to talk to you today about something that I discovered and consistently discover in my walk of life. Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Koss, and today we're going to talk about launching out into the deep. It's from a Bible verse or passage that I've read it a ton of times, but today it hit it a little different. So let me get you into the story. It's Luke chapter 5. Jesus is getting ready to teach and minister to a big crowd, and he sees two boats, and one of the boats is Simon's boats. So he sees these two boats, and with these two boats, they're empty. The ones in them, the fishermen have finished the day, and they are getting ready to pack up and go home. So packing up and go home, Jesus sees the opportunity to use the boat. He sees the opportunity to use the boat so that he could amplify his voice. Look at that. I usually say amplify your voice when I teach people with podcasting. Sorry. So he says that he does that. He uses the boat and he gets into Simon Peter's boat and then he pushes out so that he can teach the crowd while he's on the water. So the water would be amplifying his voice. They didn't have mics back then, so he's doing this so that his voice can be heard. Now, that's not the big part of the story. He uses the boat. Yes, you can say God used Peter's boat to help minister to people. That's true. That's correct. I'm not negating that at all. He begins to after he finishes ministering to the people, he says to Peter, let me read it so I don't mess it up. It's Luke chapter 5, and I'm reading from an Amplify version. He says, when he finished speaking, he said to Simon Peter, put out into the deep water and lower your nets for a catch of fish. Simon replied, Master, we worked all night to the point of exhaustion and caught nothing in our nets. But at your word, I will do as you say and lower the nets again. What is he really saying? Bro, We've been trying this all night, all day. We're exhausted. Now, we want to remember when we look at this story that Peter's not a beginner at this business. He's not a beginner at being a fisherman. He's not inexperienced. He's an experienced fisherman. He has a business, him and his brother. So Jesus finishes ministering and he tells him, like, hey, launch out, put your nets out into the water to catch fish. And Peter's probably thinking, this makes no logical sense. I've been putting this net out into the water all night. Just imagine like working at something and it not working. Someone's like, hey, try it again. The first thought is, I've been doing this all night, all day. Nothing has yielded results. It's one thing to work at something and you haven't given your all. You're like, okay, I haven't given my all, so I'm not losing anything. And then it's the opposite when you've put a lot of energy into it, a lot of money into it, a lot of muscle into it, and there's no result. There's no result. Speaking of muscle, want to shout out one of our sponsors, Conquer Fitness United, for sponsoring this podcast. Make sure to go hit them up for online training. And while you're at it, share this with somebody who you love or somebody who you feel could use some encouragement today about trying again, right? Aaliyah used to sing the song, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. Y'all thought I was going to sing it, didn't y'all? I'm not going to sing it. So let's go back to the verse. He says, Master, we're exhausted. We caught nothing. We've been doing this all night. But because you said to do it again, I'm going to do it again. That's the encouragement I want to share with you guys today. Maybe it's time you do it again. And why would you do it again if it didn't work before? Because sometimes it doesn't mean it didn't work. sometimes it could have meant that it was working on you. And now you're the person who this thing could work for, right? So all work works. Myron Golden has said this so many times and it has blessed me. All work works. It's either working on you or it's working for you. So if it's working on you, you're becoming the person that can maintain the blessing, or that you're becoming the person that can maintain the level of what's ahead. If you do not become the person before you get this huge blessing or responsibility, you'll forfeit it. You'll self-sabotage it. You'll talk yourself out of it. And usually that's what happens. Or just the timing of things connecting the way they should connect probably isn't there yet. So he says, I'm going to do it. I'm exhausted. We've been doing it all night. We're going to do it again. And then in the next verse it says, when they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their nets were at the point of breaking. So he goes from exhaustion to no fish to probably going home and telling his wife, I've been doing this all day and nothing has happened. I've been toiling all night with my colleagues and employees, and nothing has happened. Nothing feels worse than losing at something that you're good at. Nothing hits you harder than consistently losing, when you're like, I should be winning at this, but I'm consistently losing. Something's wrong. And this is what happens. So he says, I let down my net, and then the Bible talks about they caught a great number of fish, and their nets were at the point of breaking. So they signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both of the boats with fish, so that they began to sink. So they go from nothing to both boats being filled, from them calling partners over to help them, and then now they're at this point where the boats begin to sink. The bigger blessing we would always think is in having the two boats filled, having their partners come over, and them experiencing this big blessing. But the big blessing was in the obedience to launch back out. That's where it's at. I give you a quick story and a story. I started my podcast in 2022 and I quit. I quit because I felt I wasn't going to be good. I wasn't good enough. There was too much people out there, and they sounded better. They had better equipment. They looked better. I didn't know what I was doing. And I had felt the unction to launch out again, to do it again. And when I did it again, my first episode was in honor of a mentor of mine. And I felt this was the time to do it again. Now, am I saying that what I did before that didn't matter, didn't count? No, it definitely worked. It was also working on me. Me launching back out allowed me now to be able to teach other people how to start their podcast. So you never know what that launching back out is linked to. It could be linked to somebody, linked to other people. This is why I always encourage people to share the podcast or subscribe and then share, because I think these messages or these lessons help you realize something that's going to unlock in you, and then something that you can use to go help other people. Yes, it helps us, but it also helps you help other people as well. But now he launches back into the deep, and not only is he blessed, and not only is he at a place where he's receiving, but the people who were near him, who were experiencing the drought as well, get to experience this blessing as well. Let me say that again in a different way. His partners, his employees, all were leaving that night mad, probably. They were out there all night. They didn't catch anything. They probably were leaving there upset. And if they're leaving there upset, he gets to a point where he has to obey God. He has no idea that this is linked to the people that's around him. And so what he does is he launches out into the deep. And now he experiences this huge blessing. His partners does. And they all experience this amazing, miraculous thing on this day.
I want to encourage you, for anybody who's been feeling like it's been dark a lot or dark lately, I want to encourage you that if you feel the unction and the press to launch out again, don't worry about how it didn't work before. Don't worry about the failed attempts, because they weren't failed attempts necessary. They were working on you. And because they were working on you, you now get to be the person that can maintain what's being given to you. That's not a sexy message, but it's one that helps you realize that you may have to do it again. And that's okay. Don't be fooled and let the world make you feel that you doing it again means something that you're done, you're giving up. I'm talking to myself now. Do it again. Do it again. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share this with a loved one or a friend to help them and encourage them today with this message. Be you. They'll adjust. I'm out of here. I cannot say thank you enough for listening to this episode. Do me a favor, subscribe and share it with a friend. Okay. Help us help more people as we share a message of getting unstuck with real life problems with real people solving them. Be great.